All right. So as summers, we've talked so many over the past few months about color, getting things, but ultimately some of the biggest things that we have talked about is getting things that are in season. So I want to talk about some summer favorites with you all. So today, what's coming up? What fruits and vegetables are in season in the summertime? And I think that a lot of that just kind of depends on your location of where you're at in the United States and what you can get fresh and whatnot. And also the times of when things, I, as you know, live out here in Colorado, so we're a little bit behind what would be in Oklahoma or some of the other areas. So we were going to talk about those. We also want to talk a little bit about what to ask at the farmer's market, and then also how to clean your produce. And then last but not least, putting it all together, making some delicious and wonderful recipes that hopefully you, your friends, or whoever you are with is going to enjoy. So our summer fruits, these all kind of come in at different times of, some kind of transition into fall as well, but we've got apples, apricots, avocados, bananas, berries. One of my favorite thing with berries is going out and picking berries. I have seen a lot of friends in Oklahoma that are already going out and picking fresh strawberries, which is nice. Some of the concerns have been historically in some of these presentations is concern of other people touching things and whatnot of your produce. So sometimes picking fresh, it's a way to be active. And then it's also a way to, kind of get where that minimal hands have been touching them, and also getting the freshest of flavors, which is fantastic. Cantaloupe is another good one. I love seeing the giant trucks come into the farmer's market with these big cantaloupes on them. So it's going to be delicious. Cherries, they're can be a little messy at times, and the pits can be a little bit cumbersome, but they are delicious. Honeydew, lemons, limes, mangoes, peaches. I know in Oklahoma, again, similar thing is berries. We have a little town called Porter, Oklahoma, and Porter peaches are delicious. Out here in Colorado, we have Palisade peaches, so those are fantastic. And again, getting the fresh flavors, and you can go out and even pick those. Plums are going to be tomatoes, which is the controversial fruit versus vegetable, but tomatoes and watermelon. Watermelon, such a fun thing to do in so many different ways to do them. Summer vegetables, we have beets, of course, being more of a root vegetable, bell peppers being good, carrots. Actually, near the little town that I live in out here in Colorado, we have one of the largest carrot farmers in the United States. So they are going to be harvesting carrots starting this summer. And they are delicious when they are fresh. And it is such a cool process to see be done. So carrots, celery, of course, corn starts harvesting at different times, more towards the latter of the summer. Cucumbers, eggplant, garlic. We have talked about so many nutritional benefits to garlic. Green beans, different herbs. I highly recommend if you have the opportunity to even grow some of your own herbs, which is really fun. And also you're going to save a lot of money doing that. But some of these recipes we're trying to use, some various herbs as flavors versus added salt or things of that nature. Herbs can be a great way to enhance flavors without having to add a lot of extra components. Lima beans, okra. Okra is very, very happening in Oklahoma, but all over. The okras can be delicious in a variety of different ways. And then summer squash. So trying to bring all of these together is going to be fun. And you can see, again, we talked about the rainbow in previous months. We've talked about the different health benefits of all the different colors. And so again, this just kind of reinforces that information. So farmers market safety tips, one thing that I want to just really continue to be aware of and discussing. I know that a lot of different mandates have been lifted nationally. I know every area is a little different, but I do want to allude to, some of these tips were even last year, for farmers markets. So I wanted to kind of focus on the safety tips. So I think that a big thing going into farmers markets is to make sure that you have somewhat of a game plan. the more of a game plan that you have, maybe it's considering, we've talked about meal planning before, what you may or may not need with your meals for the week. But if you go in with the game plan, you're going to spend less time at the farmer's market, less time in, around particular groups or larger groups, and you can have, make things of that nature a little bit easier. You do want to aim to shop quickly and efficiently. Again, that's where the game plan comes in, kind of being in and out, less, keeping the distance from people. If that continues to be something that we're all continuing to do. And then efficiently just knowing exactly what you're looking for. Another idea or suggestion could be that, shopping alone or sending a family member. So if you're concerned about being out in a crowd, maybe there could potentially be a family member that's already going, or someone that'll be willing to go for you to get these fresher items for you from the farmers. You do want to monitor various protocols. I know different parts of the United States have different protocols at this current time, but then also some of the different farmers markets are, last year, and different ones may do it this year, where the farmers are actually choosing the different things for you versus the concern of other people that are going up and touching the produce. They're trying to minimize that contact. So, just being aware of those different things. You'll see here in this particular picture that, they have where there is that distance from the produce to the person purchasing. So, those different protocols are going to be aware. A lot of times are going to be part of these different farmers markets. But a lot of times, a lot of these different protocols are going to be online on these different farmers markets websites. So I would encourage looking at those ahead of time so that you are aware, so that if they are continuing to, require masks or what they may or may not be doing in these particular areas, you're aware of that. Ensuring that you're washing your hands before going to the market. That again, is a pretty basic thing, but it is important, and especially if there is the handling of different produce. Keeping transactions quick and easy, oftentimes, if you're having the credit card, sometimes they're using that, they'll let you pull it in and out, and do things where they're not having to touch it, or, making sure that you do keep cash, so that transactions can be precise as much as possible, so there isn't the handling back and forth of money. Other larger areas, and some maybe depending on where you're at, there could be the opportunity to pre-order for pickup or delivery of some produce. There's a lot of, if it's not a farmer's market, various co-ops do a great job. Maybe what's, currently been harvested, you can pick up just, a box or a bag of different types of produce. There's a local place I saw here near where I live that they will kind of put online what is going to be in your bag for the week, so it can allow for appropriate meal planning. Some of those places are even large enough where they will deliver. So, and there's a lot of delivery, outside of produce, but animal proteins, different things like that too. And I always encourage being patient and flexible, making sure that, we're all taking everyone's concerns into account. It's very important at the farmers markets. And also making sure, and if you are concerned about things, that game plan sort of thing could mean going at certain times that might not be peak times, very first thing in the morning versus the 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning when people maybe might be more leisurely walking around. So here's, I don't have 10 full things, I guess, but a few things here that every vendor wishes you knew if they were at the farmer's market. So it's important, if you're, have the time, you're doing the safety measures, it's important to kind of take a lap around if you have that much time, again, take a lap, see what's available, see what prices might be aware of different things so that you're not, potentially missing out on things that you may or may not want. Again, it's visited on the last slide, but bringing cash, that is an important thing. A lot of fees could be tied to using credit cards that a lot of local farmers don't want to have to pay those fees. So they only take cash. I know some farmers markets, you can use a credit card at the farmers market, like hub stand, I guess would be what I would call it. And they will give you tokens or different things that's equivalent to cash. So there could be those opportunities.
Hey, I just want to tell you this thing, as they will put this, I hope, on I don't think I'm muted.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I wanted to make sure
We
if
hear you,
somebody had a
Rhonda.
question or thought. Okay. All right. So bring a bag with you. That's going to be helpful. Sometimes they don't have extra bags or they run out at certain times. So making sure that you bring a bag with you to put your produce in is always going to be a good thing. It's always encouraged to talk to your farmers. You know, most of the people that come to farmers markets, they're routinely coming, you know, so they're going to be there week after week, and they rely on you all as people coming to get to utilize their produce. So talk to them, find out how they farm, find out their, you know, where their heart is with farming. You know, it's always kind of very interesting, and you find ones that you can trust, you know, so building those relationships is very important, and you may note that they come back year after year. So it's a good thing, and they appreciate learning more about you as well. Make a list. You know, this is something that's important too, but kinda, you know, don't go in with the very strict plan. Maybe there's opportunities of different types, you know, that in your recipes that could be altered and make some different things. You know, but also allowing the opportunity for some curveballs to be thrown. Maybe places might be out of something, or it might be something that you didn't even think of that could be really fun. You know, there are also these hyper or local varieties of different things, whether it's tomatoes or, you know, other forms of produce that you can get, which is really, really fun. So I think that, you know, it's always interesting what you might find. And outside of produce, you know, there's always sometimes floral stands. You know, we were just talking about the benefits of fresh flowers. That's going to be at your farmers markets as well. And they can bring a lot of joy in the summertime to your homes and be at a much better price. And then also other things that have a lot of immune benefits, local honeys you could potentially get at some of the farmers markets. So outside of summertime, you know, specifically fruits and vegetables, there's so many other things that you can get at the farmers markets that can be very beneficial. So cleaning your fruits and vegetables, I really looked at a lot of research of this. You know, this is very important for patients to make sure that we're not getting, that we're cleaning things well and not running any risk of any bacteria or different things going on. But, you know, needing specific cleaning options, you know, just making sure that things are scrubbed really well, but there is this DIY produce wash. But the biggest and most important thing is getting home and making sure that you are cleaning your hands. You know, we want whatever surfaces or different things that you might have come in contact with, that your hands are clean as the starting point of the first thing that the produce touches. And also when you're getting it out of the fridge after you've even cleaned it, making sure that your hands are clean. So using a clean vegetable brush, you know, specifically, sometimes people will get, you know, a certain brush that's specifically used for your vegetables or fruits and different things. Some different ones can handle the brush and getting some of that, potentially the dirt or any of waxes or different things on there. So in making sure that you're doing that in the firm produce. But then there is also a DIY produce wash, and some people may have different ones on there, but you can get a reusable spray bottle, and doing 2 cups water to 1/2 cup white vinegar is a natural way to do that with some lemon juice is going to be nice. Some different ones you can, if you cleaned out the basin of your sink, cleaned that out really well and had kind of this ratio of water to white vinegar, and soak some of your vegetables, getting some of those waxes and different things off of there and cleaning them and then rinsing them really well. So just depending on what you prefer in cleaning those, but it is very important to do. And vinegar is a nice natural way of doing it where you're not getting any other potential chemicals or anything to clean your produce. Anybody have any questions so far? Anybody? Okay. Keeping it open. So feel free to let us know, and we can also ask them at the end too. So without further ado, I'd love to go into just a few recipes that I've found to be so enticing and so exciting. And I tried to merge as many different ingredients that would be fresh at the farmer's market that you potentially can have. Understanding I will aim to kind of go over where, you know, if you were doing vegan versus, you know, not vegan, you know, you're fine with animal proteins in there, but there are always opportunities that you can make things more of that particular avenue of desire. So tomato, peach, and basil salad. So this is kind of an enhanced take, even potentially on, you know, a caprese salad. You know, it kind of enhances with the peaches and different things here. So we'll kind of tie into, and you can, I tried to provide a picture just because I'm such a visual person. So it helps me know what my item is supposed to look like, you know. That is definitely one thing that is important to me. So, and like I said earlier, if someone has just gotten on that wasn't on earlier, these recipes will be available to be sent out or attached to the YouTube link that will have this particular presentation. So tomato, peach, and basil salad. So the ingredients, you're going to have, you know, your basil leaves. One awesome thing that I have seen is there are people that you get these giant bushels of basil at the farmer's market, which is so fun, and it smells fantastic. But if you are growing your own, that's another way. Sometimes basil can kind of get out of hand and get crazy. So you're going to need 2 cups of fresh basil leaves, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, kosher salt, 4 ripe but firm yellow peaches cut into wedges, 4 tomatoes, preferably a mix of large heirloom tomatoes that you could do a different thing. And again, we talked a little bit about how this variety of color, the rainbow on our plate, different things like that, it's just enticing and helps us enjoy. And then on top of that, we're getting more vitamins and minerals because it's fresh. So that's great. And then 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So you're just going to bring some water to a boil, add the basil to the boiling water, and just until it gets wilted or bright green, just a few seconds, and then transfer out and then into a blender. And you're going to puree that with the olive oil and some salt and pepper. You can spread the basil puree that you've just made. I would suggest kind of having it a little bit cooled down if it is a little bit warm from being in there, but filling it, arranging the peaches, tomatoes, and you can, like I said, you can add some of the fresh sliced mozzarella in there if you like that, but of course it doesn't need that at all. It's just adding some great flavor there. And then, you know, of course, the lemon juice, salt, and pepper, and then you're going to garnish with your basil leaves on top. So this is just a nice take on, you know, again, an enhanced version of the caprese salad using different herbs and your fresh peaches.
I just have to say, that sounds so good. I've never thought about putting peaches in there.
No, it's kind of that savory sort of angle, sweetness. I've got another one for you here in just a minute. I was gonna, you know, my kids were like, what? You know, they were very alarmed by what we were gonna combine. But I think it's nice when you have that sweet and salty, and it just kind of adds another fresh flavor to things, freshens things up a bit. And oftentimes when we do get this fresh produce, I do want to kind of note, you know, whether it is tomatoes or peaches or whatever we have, you know, I have seen where you can get like a box of peaches, you know, when they're really in season, you know, even at the grocery store, they'll be selling them. And then you get them home and then they start ripening and you're like, what am I going to do with all this produce? You know, how are you going to make? So it's getting creative with recipes such as this that can be nice. The next one is the summer farro salad. So there are so many opportunities of adjusting this particular recipe to what you have or what might be at the farmer's market. But this is just kind of the nice thing. One thing, you know, there is different types of the grains that can be used in this, you know, if you would prefer to do that. And then, of course, always opportunities of adding animal proteins, or even, you know, I've saw some recipes for some tofu in here, you know, whatever you're preferring to do of the farro salad. So this particular one, like I said, you can enhance, adjust, you know, do it when this is from Food and Wine that I have noted down there. So the EVOO, of course, the extra virgin olive oil. So and then your yellow onion, you know, there's all kinds of different, you know, if you prefer different types of onions, you know, there's yellow onion here, red onion as well, but, you know, kind of combining those. 1 small carrot, celery, 12 ounces of the farro, which is kind of like that rice grain sort of thing. If you prefer, another opportunity here could be quinoa. You know, you're going to get some extra protein in there, you know, just depending on what you prefer from that standpoint. Water, salt, the red wine vinegar, ground pepper, red onion thinly sliced, cucumber, and then grape tomatoes. I saw a lot of recipes on here as far as adding feta. You know, you can just, whatever your flavor, your palate prefers is a great option. So in a saucepan, you're going to heat the oil, yellow onion, carrot, celery, cover over moderate heat until barely softened. And then you're going to add the farro and stir and coat with the oil. And then you're going to add the water and bring it to a boil for 10 minutes and cook that. So you're getting that farro to have that extra farro to have that extra flavor of that, which is kind of nice. And you could do the same thing somewhat with the quinoa. You're going to drain that, discard the onion, carrot, and celery, and then in a large bowl, you're going to whisk together the olive oil, vinegar, and season with salt and pepper. And then you're going to again add that red onion, cucumber, tomato, basil, season, and then you can season with the salt and pepper to serve. So it's kind of one of those colder, could be warmer salads, just depending on when you want to put it together. I did see other opportunities where Kalamata olives are added, just again, depending on where your preference lies. Summer pesto pasta. I really wanted to kind of bring something in with this basil again, just because I love basil so much. I also really love arugula. So using some different greens, but the pesto, sometimes with the basil, we get so much of it that again, pesto is a nice and easy way that you can make some and then add it to various dishes, which can be great. So, making some ahead of time, using it in different things here. You can do different kinds. So we got, here we have some whole grain pasta, but if, for example, if you're gluten-free, you could do gluten-free pastas. There's all kinds of different ones out there, quinoa pasta, chickpea pastas, whatever, if you want to do the pasta route. You could even take it a next level and potentially do like the spaghetti squash, excuse me, I was losing my train of thought, that you could do from that standpoint. So you've got the cherry tomatoes, halved and quartered. You've got the baby arugula. You can do, again, the Kalamata olives in this one. Some optional items would be the chickpeas that you could add for some extra protein and some extra fiber, which is excellent. And then optional as well in this is the mozzarella balls or crumbled feta. So potentially, you see here that there's the baby arugula or the spinach, so maybe this is again that or thing that you're at the farmer's market and they may have one or the other. So it's allowing that flexibility there. So the pesta, this particular one calls for the pepitas, which is the whole pumpkin seeds. Sometimes there's, depending on what type of pesto you're making, pine nuts is another pretty popular of the nut form, but it's always important, just depending on different allergies, what you could do. You could also do walnuts, could be another thing that you could do as an alternative to the pepitas. So 1/2 cup packed fresh basil leaves. There's also parsley, lemon juice, garlic, and salt, and then the olive oil. So the summer pasta continued. This is just kind of essentially the direction. So Cookie and Kate is where this comes from. So you're going to cook your pasta and then set aside. And then it notes preparing the pesto. So in a skillet, toasting the pepitas. So that's where you're going to get an enhanced amount of that flavor from those particular nuts that you might be doing. Toasting them is very important. And when that is, you can smell them. And then also there's the little popping noises, which is kind of a signifying that you've gotten to that point. You're going to put them into the food processor and then add the basil, parsley, lemon juice, and salt. And then drizzling in that olive oil to kind of make more of that sauce there for you for the pesto. And you can assemble the pesto and the pasta over the pasta and toss the pasta lightly until evenly coated. And then adding the arugula, tomatoes, Kalamata olives, chickpeas, however you want to further enhance, even quinoa would be good in this too, if you wanted to take it a step further, just depending on what your preference is from that standpoint. And also the mozzarella, I think, was noted in this particular kind of a Greekish sort of recipe. Then last but not least, this is the grilled chicken tacos with a strawberry salsa. What? So I know. So this is just another fun take on that sweet, I had some tacos last night that it was kind of more of a mango slaw, sort of thing. So again, you could kind of, this is different ideas here of using more of the fruit into, and again, it's challenging to get those 5 to 9 servings. So the more that we're trying to use a variety of the fruits and vegetables and different things, again, the color, flavors, enjoying these different ideas here. So you do not have to do the chicken in this particular one. You could do other forms of, I know it's chicken tacos, but if you wanted to do tofu or you wanted to do something as a different base, I've even seen black beans, as a base if you wanted to do the vegan option. So, but again, preparing the chicken, it does call, you don't have to put this in there, but it does add some flavor here. You're cooking it out for some tequila if you wanted to have that in there. But again, that's not a requirement at all for this flavor. It just adds some enhanced flavor there that is different. But again, you're cooking that out as you're cooking it. Chili powder, cumin, limes, and you're cooking the chicken. And then the salsa is the strawberries diced. You have the red onion, red bell pepper seeded and diced, and then you have a jalapeno, depending on how you're wanting to get the spice. You can leave some seeds in there if you'd like to. Half a bunch of cilantro, 12 corn tortillas, and then you could do the crumbled queso fresco or the cotija cheese if that is something you prefer to do, but of course that can be left off. There are various sauces. There's a great sauce from Costco that's delicious. It's kind of like a chipotle sauce that might be kind of nice on here too. That's an almond base. It's a dairy-free option. So, playing with different things, maybe a cilantro crema sort of sauce as well that you could make. You could even make like a, with Greek yogurt and lime and cilantro, make kind of a sauce that could be excellent to add to this as well. So just depending, but I think it's fun with the strawberry salsa. My kids really liked it. So something to try. And here's just the direction of that to, kind of making this salsa. I would encourage kind of making that a little bit ahead of time, allowing that to marinate somewhat in your refrigerator so you can get those jalapenos, onions, different things, a little bit more flavor to add. And then last, I wanted to kind of bring in just a little bit that's really fun is summertime is such a great time for new adventures. And, we want to make sure that we're taking this into account now that, the opportunity as we're finding that we can get out a little bit more and the, mental health piece or the behavioral health piece of being out is so important. And so I wanted to kind of bring that into summertime favorites. We're bringing in the food, but how much being outside can be important. So I always encourage people to explore your local area, different things that there might be opportunities of new trails, new things that are opening back up that you might rediscover and fall back in love with, which is great. Tracking your progress. Some people really love to kind of know, where they're at in the day, what changes have made, what their strength has been. I am not the exercise guru whatsoever. That is not my profession. But I do want to kind of note that we work very closely with our physical therapists at CTCA and different things. And my job as a dietitian, we're talking so much about all of these good things to keep you healthy and well, getting good protein in, doing these different things. But to build the strength, you've got to have the good nutrition, but you also have to do the movement. So just want to kind of tie that in. So tracking your progress. I am a brand new owner of one of these guys. Yeah. I just joined the crew. So anyway, but it tells me when I'm supposed to stand up, tells me how far behind I am on my activity and different things. But some people like that, some people don't. So I always want to kind of note that that's something to think about. Maybe if you feel safe in doing this, potentially joining maybe a couple people that are in your community to do a group. It's a great social way to get together. I always see in our little neighborhood these few ladies that are doing their morning and afternoon walks, which is fantastic. So encouraging those sorts of things. Do plan your outings. Again, maybe there's different activities that might be in your area or new things that you want to potentially try. So I think it's fun, and you might be surprised as to what you might fall back in love with, especially after this year that we've had. But why do I say so much with the activities? It is very important to, it does improve, it is known to improve mood and reduce depression. It does enhance self-esteem. It doesn't cost much if you're just out using local areas, trails, different things. It doesn't cost anything, which is important. Outdoor activities, it is just an ease of access, just right outside, you know, using what's available. And then of course that good old vitamin D. A natural way, 15 minutes a day is all it takes to get that vitamin D, which is so important for your immune system and keeping you strong. So in bone health too. And that is also a benefit of the low impact activity to your bone health. So bring on summer. So that is